Hi, good morning. I'm just going to wait a few moments and let the people jump on board. My name is John. I'm the Global Education Manager at Elgon Cosmetic, and today I'm super excited to share with you guys some tips and tricks on how to get the most from using our product portfolio to really optimize great coverage of white hair. It's a very common salon challenge, and the good thing is that our products on their own perform fantastically well, but there are some times where we need to go a step further and approach it slightly differently. And today I want to cover this. Also, something else we're going to do today, I thought I would give myself a challenge. I mean, it's Tuesday morning after all. Good morning, Sabita, thank you for joining. Of course, I thought I'd give myself a little challenge. So I thought, well, we don't have a grey mannequin at this moment in time, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to take a white mannequin and do the technique on this. Believe it or not, we're going to be launching a brand new course at the end of August, beginning of September. And one of the things that we actually do is we take a white mannequin and work with a total colour application. Of course, you might think, why? That's crazy. But it's not, because the thing is you'll be able to see actually how precise I am when I'm working. And of course, if you miss any areas, it's super unforgiving. Oh, right, let's have a look. Oh, hello, thank you. So I can see there's a few of you jumping on board. Thank you very much for joining. Just to quickly recap, hi Alvi. My name's John, I'm the Global Education Manager at Elgon, and today we're going to do a special focus on the world of grey. So, there are two products that I want to focus in on today. The first one is Modern Styling, which is really one of the main backbones of oxidation colour in the world of Elgon. This is a much loved product all over the world. And then the second product line that I want to go through, but very briefly, just top line, is 10-minute colour. 10-minute colour, I think, will be a lifesaver in the salons at this moment in time, with the fact that we're recovering from the pandemic, or maybe we are still in a lockdown, but we have to do services that are short, fast, effective, where we can really increase the salon average bill. And this is a fantastic product for those types of situations. Okay, so first things first, let's talk through our options when we are covering grey hair. This morning I was really busy preparing some samples for you to really illustrate the different ways that we can work with the Elgon products, but also for you to see the performance of the product line. So let's start off with really what grey hair is. If we think about grey hair, one of the reasons why it's so challenging is because effectively grey is not a colour. Grey is nothing more than the absence of pigment. So we have white hairs and natural hair all intermixed, and this is what we perceive as grey. So the challenge that we face when we're colouring grey hair is that the colour can sometimes come, the result can be uneven, it could be too bright, it could be too light. So we have to be very careful with how we approach this during our technical process. So the first thing we need to do is really understand the percentage of grey on the head. Now, sometimes it can be really complicated because, some areas are different to others, but don't panic. Keep it really, really simple. Now, if you're a user of Modern Styling, this is even better. We've made your life as easy as possible. This is a colour chart. When you open it up, what you're going to find on the inside is how to actually mix the products, so what your dilution is, your development time, your oxy creams. You go down below and you see this little table here. When you're dealing with the world of grey, this is your best friend, because this gives you the basic guidelines, the basic usage for covering grey. Now, maybe you've not had a chance to join the course, but we have just launched a brand new course called Colour Advanced. It's split over 2 different sessions, and we do a real deep dive into how to deal with grey hair. Today I'm going to show you a few examples from that course. And below this, of course, we have our Chromatic Wheel, which is a lifesaver, as we all know, because this really helps us with our really unique colour formulations when we are in the salon. Alright, so let's talk about the percentage of grey. What we've done is we've broken it into 3 categories. What we've done is we work with 0 to 40%. I've just realised you can't see the table behind me, so I'm going to explain it. We have 0 to 40%. So 0 to 40%, this is where we've got more natural hair to flecks of white. So when we're working with this kind of hair, we can proceed using our target colour. What I mean by that is we can use either a natural shade, if we just want a very neutral colour, or we could go through and use one of the fashion shades. And of course, the use of the Oxy Cream is dependent on what effect we're trying to achieve. Okay, then when we move on to the next segment, we then work with 40 to 70% of white hair. So what we mean here is that there's more or less an even blend of white and natural hair. So with this, there's more that we need to fill in. So the rules of grade coverage are ever so slightly different. Then we will have 70 to 100% of white hair. This, of course, is where we've got much more, or we have significantly more white hair to natural hair. And again, we have to change our approach ever so slightly here. So let's talk about 40 to 70%. When we're working on 40 to 70% of white hair and 70 to 100, it's always recommended that you use a natural series. When I say a natural series, what I mean is one of these shades on the top here. The natural series sit dead center in the Chromatic Wheel, dead center and then up towards kind of the gold, but they're more neutral, okay? And the beautiful thing about these colors is you can use them on their own and they're going to create a beautiful coverage. Now, if I want to cover white hair and my result is a fashion shade, then we always need to add some of this into it. So as a rule of thumb, when we're working with 40 to 70% of white hair, it's always suggested that you use 1/4 of a natural shade, so 1/4 of one of these with 3/4 of one of your fashion shades. That ensures that you're going to get a beautiful coverage while still getting a fantastic result, okay? When you're working from 70 to 100%, then it's always advised that you mix half and half. So let me give you some examples. I'm gonna go through this step by step, okay? Now, what I've done is I've already pre-colored some swatches here. So this is the original color before I started my session. So I would say this is definitely 70 to 100%. If you're being really picky, you could still see that there's in some areas there's a bit more of the natural going through here, but we perceive grey because of the amount of white that's going through here. So what we've done here is we've followed the basic rules. I did 2 mixtures just so you can see. This one here is a colour level 5 natural shade mixed with 20 volumes 1:1. This is a standard recommended usage of the product. And this is with 10-minute colour, again mixed 1:1. This was developed for 35 minutes, this was developed for 10 minutes. Can you see the difference? If I take the controller, so the original colour, it's quite impressive, right? How well it has covered. So you'll see that even using our product portfolio on its own, the coverage is fantastic, and this is one of the most loved features and characteristics of our product lines. Okay, so let's now see the difference when we are using a fashion shade. So here we have a 5 and a 511. This is mixed half and half, and you can see the coverage is beautiful here. Optically, it does look a little bit darker, but that's perfectly cool because think about it. I'm using an ash, a blue ash. An ash optically always looks up to 1 color level darker compared to a gold. And that's because it absorbs the light. So optically, it will always look deeper and more shadowy. So this is something I'm not too concerned about. Okay, but there's something else. If I'm working from 40 to 70% and 70 to 100%, there is also an exception to the rule. So think of it like this. The basic rule in the color chart is I either mix 1/4 of a natural shade and 3/4 of a fashion shade when working from 40 to 70%. And if I'm working 70 to 100%, I will use half and half. But there's one exception. And the exception is this. We launched a series of colours called the Chocolate Shines. Across the top, we have what we call the 81s. And on the previous page in the bottom, you have the 0.85s. These are called Chocolate Shines. The 0.8 is a brunette or brown colour character. Now, think of it like this. You have a natural series that sits more or less in the centre of the wheel. And you have a 0.8 which also sits in the centre of the wheel. And that combined with the secondary character that helps enhance the grey coverage. So when I'm using a Chocolate Shine, either a stroke 85 or a stroke 81, it is not necessary to add a natural series to it. So if you're short on time in the salon, you don't want to be mixing lots and lots of colours, the safest bet, if you want to save time and get a beautiful coverage and fantastic tonality, go with one of your Chocolate Shines. And here we have 581. So consider this was not mixed with a natural series or a 00 or anything like that. This is used on its own. This is the 581. This is a controller. Whoop. This was mixed with 20 volumes and left for 35 minutes. It's quite impressive, right? How beautifully it's covered. There's no translucency whatsoever with the colour result. So, they're your solutions for step 1. Very simple. And those you'll find already in the colour book. So imagine I'm working from 70 to 100%. I do step 1 and maybe it hasn't quite covered. Maybe the hair is a bit more resistant. Then we move into step 2, where we have something a little bit stronger. If you look through the colour chart, below the natural series, you're going to see the stroke 00s. These are your intense naturals. The intense naturals are designed exclusively for 70 to 100% of white hair. And these are amazing for your coverage techniques. They work. They don't have more ammonia, so there's no additional alkalinity component to the product. They work because there's much more pigment inside of it. Let me show you. So here we have a level 6, so we have a 600. This is actually the swatch from the color book, and this is the swatch on the hair. Now obviously bearing in mind this is on the synthetic hair, so it does change it ever so slightly. Coverage is amazing, but for example, you know, as a rule that I always use, and as a top tip I would suggest you take back to the salon, if your target color is a level 5, always go the shade above, always. This just covers yourself. Just as something that I think is very important is if you have, say you have a client in the salon that is a regular user of, let's say, Moda and Styling 5, maybe they are going from Get the Color to Moda and Styling, maybe they're going from a competitor brand, no bother. I personally, if you're going to use a stroke 00, always go the color above, just to cover yourself, because there is more pigment in it, you know? Alright, so let's have a quick look, because there's something else we need to know. The rules still apply. So remember that when you use a stroke 00, you use this from 70 to 100% of white hair, okay? If I want to use it with a fashion shade, so for example, and the example I have here, is I have super resistant white hair, or grey hair, and my target colour is a 657, which is a beautiful, beautiful colour. So, the logical thing to do is to mix half of my 600 and half of my 657. The color is actually beautiful. But something that you might notice is because there's more pigment in the natural series, what can happen is you can lose some of the color character. So rather than being like a you know, super juicy, I mean, it's not far off, right? But it's not, it could be more juicy. This is absolutely why we created the correctors. So the correctors you're going to see in the back, you'll see I'm missing a few because I've taken them out. But these are the correctors. You can add these with your fashion shade and your stroke 00 if you're worried about losing some of the color character. This is especially important when I am doing fashion colors such as my, say the reds and the coppers. It's super important to ensure that you are making sure that you are adding the corrector in to keep the character. And here, this is with the corrector. So it's a little bit more juicy, and you can see it's even got a bit more of a glimmer. It has a little bit more of a sheen on the hair. What we've done here is we've followed the corrector rules. You won't find those in the color chart, but you will find them if you join us on Color Foundation and also Color Advance, where we do a real deep dive into the world of correctors and how to really get the most out of them. Okay, so then let's imagine we have done option 1 and option 2 and it still hasn't worked. We need to do something a bit stronger. What can we do now? Well, we also have pre-staining. So here what we've done, pre-staining is perfect when we're working and the hair is super white in the temples. Some would say it's a bit old school, but it's very effective. What you do is you take the color level above your target color. So in this case, my target color was a level 5. So what I did was I used Modern Styling 6 with no developer. I leave it in that zone. I develop it for 5 minutes. I don't rinse, I don't do anything. Just develop it, apply it, develop it for 5 minutes, and then mix it up. Color level 6, so the color above. The same color level. So we do a 6 first, then we do a level 5 with 20 volumes. So you use your target color and then develop that for 30 minutes. What that does is that pigment that you lay on the hair first is that the alkalinity inside the product is creating like a very soft stain on the hair. So when I go in with my target color, it's going to help push the pigment deeper into the hair, and that's what's going to help with the coverage. And also durability, because this is something that people really, they really notice. Okay, then moving on to the next technique. So I've done pre-staining, I've followed the rules, it still hasn't worked. What do I do next? Well, the next one, and this is really the last big one, is called a color shift. And it is a fantastic technique. And yes, I believe Sabita, you did this. It's amazing. So it's very easy. You use your target color, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna change the amount of color and developer. What you actually do is you lower the amount of developer. So in this case, you would do 60 grams, and this was level 6, I believe. Let me just double check. Yes, it was level 6. So what we did was we did 60 grams of level 6 and 40 grams of Elgon Oxy Cream 30 volumes. It's very important that you up your Oxy Cream because it's going to give you more energy. Effectively, what we're doing is we are increasing the alkalinity of the product, and that's what helps with the coverage and the durability. This technique is amazing on hair where it's really resistant, and it's really resistant in patches or in zones. And Sabita, if you can, I know you did this technique and you're on here, it would be amazing for you to share your example in the comments. It's really fantastic. Okay. Then the last one, and I think this is really important, to be honest with you, for many years when I was in the salon. It's something I really found super challenging. So I have a client that comes in. Her hair is like this, and she wants to go to... Okay, she wants to go to something like this, or like this, or maybe, you know, something down here. And I always used to think to myself, like, but it's already white, so I just put the color on and put the developer in. So, you know, maybe use my target color with a higher developer. But remember what I said in the beginning. Imagine my target color is a 927, so pale violet. If you look inside this hair, it's not totally white. You know, there's flecks in here, so you've got white intermix of natural hair. So if I use my target color with 30 or 35 volumes, yes, on the white is going to be fantastic, but on the natural flecks that are still in there, it's going to come out quite warm. So I'm not really going to achieve the target color. So we have a great technique called grey to blonde. It's very, very easy, and I'm going to show you the example. So what we did was, you can do this on damp or dry hair. I did this on dry hair because it's a little stronger. I use Elgon cream bleach 1 to 1.5 with 10 volumes for 20 minutes, and this was the result. Not toned, nothing, just washed. If you're not familiar with cream bleach, it is a fantastic product. We launched this last year. It's infused with beeswax, so it's super, super delicate. Ideal for on-scalp applications. That's the primary use of this product. But it's also very good for color corrections, and for grey to blonde, it's amazing. It's one of the most cosmetic of the decolorants that we have inside of our product portfolio. So I did that first, developed it for 20 minutes, and then I rinsed the hair and shampooed it with Colorcare Silver Shampoo. And this was the result I got. So it was, you know, relatively nice, level 9, still a bit of warmth in there, but I just used the shampoo just to neutralize some of the undesired color. And if you aren't familiar with it, this is the Silver Shampoo. It's from Colorcare. It comes in a backwash size, but also a salon retail size. It's enriched with blueberries, which is a fantastic antioxidant, but it's also one of the reasons why the product has the pigment it has in it. Again, we are going to do another session covering this topic, but it's really an amazing product. And look at the difference between, this is before, which I think is quite a beautiful colour, and this is after. And you see, the really nice thing about the Colorcare Silver Shampoo is it's like a blue violet. So it's not like a red violet. It really is super, super, super cool. So of course its primary objective is to neutralize yellow, but it also has the ability to neutralize some of the orange as well. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a much loved product. Okay, so the hair was neutralized with Silver Shampoo. And then for the final stage, I just proceeded with my target color. Motor and Styling 927, and I think I'm quite proud of this. I think it looks pretty amazing. I mean, it's come up really nice. I mean, of course, the lighting does change it ever so slightly, but you've got that beautiful, clean, beautiful, and pretty true to swatch result. So grey to blonde is ideal when you've got customers that have got 70 to 100% of white hair, grey hair, and their target colour is lighter. So we're talking, you know, level 8, level 9, level 10. And what we mean here is, you know, making sure that we're lifting the hair without really exposing too much of the natural warmth. I hope that makes sense. All right, so that is really the most common ways that we can deal with the coverage of grey. If you want to know a little bit more, do make sure that you check out with your local distributor our education. Like I said, we've really worked quite heavily over the last months on education covering these types of topics. And just a few basic tips, some just basic top tips for the salon. Don't forget, you know, always weigh your products on the scale. It's just so basic, but like baking a cake, yes, you can do it from experience and from guessing, but the thing is you can't always guarantee a result. Maybe there's something that has changed, So we always recommend weigh your products, very important. Use a full development time. So certainly if you're using modal styling, you can develop for up to 45 minutes. Also, just to add on top of that point, don't forget that if you're a user of Elgon, we produce multiple developers to solve the different needs. So typically when you're covering white or grey hair, you would always use 20 volumes. But we also have 25 volumes, and of course you can, if you need to, use 30 volumes. However, do be mindful that if you're using 25 volumes or 30 volumes, if you're working on hair that is, let's say 70% and below, there is a chance that you're going to lift the natural pigment. So you could end up with a result slightly warmer. So this is why your consultation is absolutely key when you're working. Okay, then last but not least, the application. Application is absolutely key to the success, and this is what I'm going to go through with you now. So we're going to do, like I said at the beginning, we're going to work with this white mannequin. It's kind of cheating, it's not really grey, but like I said, what I like in education is to create a challenge, and I think because this is white, if I miss any patches or I'm not disciplined when I'm working, you're going to see it straight away. And believe it or not, when we're training educators, this is something that we will and have been doing. So watch out if you're an educator and you're on board. Okay, so I also promised in the beginning to just very quickly talk you through just a little bit about 10-minute color. Because 10-minute color is really a hero for the salon. It's, just to be clear with you, this is not a replacement of a traditional color line. It's a perfect companion, and it's a great companion if you are an Elgon branded user. The wonderful thing about it is, as it says on the tin, it develops in 10 minutes. It can lift up to 2 levels. If you're using the 30 volumes, and if I want to cover grey or white hair, I would use this with 20 volumes. Just for the shine, we use Tsubaki oil. This is one of the main cosmetic elements in this product, and there's also a special type of polymer inside of this which actually helps the product develop so quickly. The line is made up of naturals, ashes, right through to our golds, our coppers, down into our reds and violets, chocolates and mochas. And this is really the full assortment. The colours are totally intermixable, and like I said, you can achieve up to 100% of grey coverage. Grey coverage guidelines do still apply also with this product line. So like with Moda and Styling, if I'm not really working on grey, I just want to go darker. So let's say 0 to 40%, or there's a few flecks, I just use my target colour. If I'm working 40 to 70, I'm going to use 1/4 of a natural shade, 3/4 of the fashion shade, and if I am doing 70 to 100%, then I would go in and do half of the natural shade with half of a fashion shade. Just a word of advice with using this product, do make sure that you're quick, precise, and you're clean when you're working with it. Something I would always say is if you're using this, you really, you've got about 8 to 10 minutes tops to apply the product, and then really around 8 minutes in total to kind of get the client to the basin and then be ready to wash it off. You definitely don't want to exceed the development time, because of course it is going to continue to deposit. Alright, so if you do any questions on those topics I've just discussed, do write them in the comment bar, and I'm going to try and answer them as I'm working, but if I miss them, I will make sure I answer the questions afterwards. Okay, so let's go into the second portion of today's session. We're going to do a coverage technique. So it's a full head of white. So the way I'm thinking of it is, you know, sometimes when we're dealing with grey or white hair, we always have an obsession with kind of perceiving it as like wrong, or you know, we need to cover it completely. And I'm a real big believer in enhancing and working with what you've got. So my target color is going to be Modern Styling 8 and 827. Okay, so we're going for like this beautiful creamy pearlescent level 8. We're using Modern Styling. This is going to be used for the root area and then through the lengths and ends in sections. And then we're going to alternate that with a fantastic product called Get the Colour 10.2, which is a level 10 pearl tone. For any of you guys that aren't familiar with this product, it's amazing. The pigment is ever so slightly different between Get the Colour and Modern Styling. Modern Styling, the pigment is quite gutsy, it's quite definitive. With Get the Colour, it's a little bit more transparent. So what I mean by that is you get slightly more of a natural result. If any of you watched the technique that we did a few weeks back for the Elgon collection, we actually worked with a similar principle with this mannequin. This was coloured using Modern Styling and Imagea in alternating sections, and it creates this really beautiful 3D effect on the hair. It creates this amazing sense of shadow and depth. We're going to do a similar kind of principle, but working with Modern Styling and Get the Colour. And I think this would be a nice contrast for you guys to see. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this together now and go through the mixing with you. We're going to work, because we're working on 70 to 100% of white hair, of course we're going to use our grey coverage guidelines. So we're going to work half and half. So we're going to work with, we're going to do 30 grams of 827. Just make sure we've got plenty in. Yeah. And we're going to do 30 grams of our level 8. So, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate, jump in and ask me. I'm here to be grilled and quizzed by you. Okay, and also if you have just joined, because I see the numbers are jumping up and down a little, if you have just joined, today we're doing a special focus on the world of greys. So today's a great opportunity. If you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to jump in and ask. Okay, so typically we would use 20 volumes, okay, because we're covering white. So we're treating this as white hair. But we're working on a mannequin. The hair is pretty porous. So I'm actually going to up my developer slightly, and I will do that sometimes because it's going to help control the deposit slightly. So I'm actually going to go in and use our 7.5% or 25 volumes for the coverage technique. I'm going to just work that through. Again, we're working 1-to-1, so we've got 60 grams of colour, 60 grams of our developer. Like so, and you'll see it's pretty much a classic cream. The nice thing about it is I love smelling it because it actually doesn't smell so bad. The beautiful thing about this product is it's been stabilized with, or it's been designed with our Elgon Oxy Cream, which is enriched with aloe vera. So it has amazing cosmetic and soothing properties, not only for the hair but also for the scalp, and it's totally fragrance free. So of course the main alkaline component in Modern Styling is ammonia. So it's really beautiful because the aloe vera actually dissipates the scent. So just make sure it's mixed to a beautiful cream. Make sure I don't throw it all over the floor. I've got tint everywhere in this room. And we're going to start with our application. I'm also going to show you a brand new tool today. I'm so happy. It finally arrived in my house this morning. So I'm so excited to share it with you. Okay, so we're going to do a classic grey coverage application. This is actually something that we're going to be launching in our new course called Essential Skills, which will be at the end of August, beginning of September. And it's a brand new global course focusing in on how to get the best results using Elgon products while increasing your salon service bill through offering something that's really unique to the customers, you know? So we're going to start with a center profile, although it's not dead center. I'm not too worried about that because, to be honest with you, I want to work with the natural fall as much as possible with my mannequin. So I'm just going to work through. You'll see, also take careful notice at the brush that I'm using, because we've got two types of brush in Elgon. We have the classic tint brush, and we also have the precision brush. I am a massive fan of the precision brush. I use this for almost everything. But when I'm doing tinting, this is really my best friend. The only exception is maybe when I'm working around the contour areas. Now, I'm not going to take the central division right the way through the back. I'm going to take a vertical section through the side. Just comb that forward. And you'll also notice, I mean, there's no wrong or right way. This is how I work. I always use a comb. I never use a pintail, and I never use the end of my brush. And also, you notice, look, when I'm working, always keeping the bolt on top of the brush. Sometimes it's little things like that customers really notice when you're working. I really notice it, and I think it's something that's very important. I mean, think of it like this. You know, at the moment, we to be able to leave the house is really a luxury. You know, so something as simple that we used to take for granted, like, I don't know, going to a restaurant or something, you know, it's something more exclusive now. We have to pay more. And my point is when you have to pay more, your expectations are more. You can't just up your prices and not offer something different. And, you know, I think back in the 90s, certainly, I know the industry has changed a lot. I think back in the 90s, it used to all be about, you know, oh, they're amazing, they offer me coffee. But this is the new normal. Like, there's nothing special about that now. And the point is really the market, they're expecting something different and something new. Something so simple, like how you apply a product. I think of it like, you know, going to a restaurant, how they display the food. If I go to a Michelin star restaurant, which I don't, by the way, but if I did, my expectations would be, you know, that the food is displayed beautifully, that you know, they have a great menu. That's what gets me through the door. The food is displayed well. Front of house is, you know, the attentive. The waiter is an expert when I ask about what wine I should have with my food. You know, the food is not only good, that's my minimum expectation. The hair isn't just good, that's what I expect. I'm also expecting that, you know, it's presented very well to me. Does it make sense? So it's, you know, this is one of the reasons why we're launching this course, because more than ever is this important. The competition is fierce on the high street, absolutely fierce. We've seen a boom in home hair, which you know, there's not necessarily it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, people typically pick home hair because of convenience. They like the convenience of it. So just for the salon to be convenient, I don't think is enough. We also need to be offering more than that, an experience, and that's what customers really, really want, you know. So, okay, look also how I'm working, keeping the sections very neat, or as neat as I possibly can. I'm using the comb, I'm taking vertical sections through the side area, and everything is coming back off the face, keeping it nice and clean. And if you notice, we're starting from the front, we're not starting through the back. Do you remember we said you can leave the product on for up to 45 minutes? Well, this is actually what we're doing. We're allowing the front to have the extra time with the development time. And we're bringing everything off the face, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to be staining the skin. So also when I'm working around the hairline, I'm going to keep a section, I'm going to feather the hairline. So I'm not creating any lines. And this is, of course in the mannequin, it's a little more challenging because of how it's sewn in. But, in real life, clients, they tend to have very fine hair in this area. And there's nothing worse, right, than you do a colour and you rinse it off and you've got like this hard line, maybe where the little hairs have been coloured around the front area. Okay, so we're just going to work through, finishing off this last side here. I think the result's going to be beautiful. Now, if you want to see the result, don't worry, because we will post it later on. Make sure that you're following the Elgon official Instagram and Facebook channels. But also, if you want to see more videos, because we've done many videos over the last 4 or 5 months. If you want to see more videos, we have a lot of educational content that you can look at and share, from cuts and colours through to top tips on different products. You'll find this on the Connect by Elgon YouTube channel. And on there, we've got lots of videos available in English, Spanish, and of course, Italian. Just going to remove that. Okay, so just finishing off, making sure that I don't miss any of the hair through here, because that would set a very bad example. Making sure I've got plenty of colour on the hairline. Now, something that you also just need to remember, maybe you need to approach the colour differently in different zones. What I mean here is, let's say for example, the temples is 100% white, maybe the back, there's none. So the way I would propose that you approach this is approach it like 2 or 3 different heads of hair. So for example, if we've got like totally white around the temples, then you need to approach the 100%, 70 to 100% grey coverage guidelines. If you know it's resistant, then it would make more sense to start off and do pre-staining or a colour shift in this zone. Maybe, then maybe through the rest, so maybe you've got 70 to 100%, then you approach that differently. So you approach it like it's a different head of hair. You approach each zone differently. It's very rare, that one colour formula is going to be the solution for everything. Of course, you want to make your life as easy and as efficient as possible, so you don't want to be mixing thousands of colours. Sometimes the most beautiful results are the easiest, or look the easiest, let's say. Okay, so still keeping vertical sections. And I believe, Marika, if you're on here, I think it would be great if you could write on the colour formulas in the comments. So just to quickly recap, what we've done is we're going to use through the root area, but also through some of the ends. We're going to do 30 grams of our level 8 plus 30 grams of our 827. I had to double check them. 30 grams of our 827 plus 60 grams of Elgon Oxy Cream, 25 volumes. And again, if you're thinking, why are you not using 20 volumes? Why 25? It's because on this occasion, because I'm working on a mannequin head, my hair is pretty porous. It's also previously treated. It's very heavily chemically treated. So we don't want to over deposit, and this is something I will do sometimes if this is something I'm concerned about. Is I will add in my I will increase my developer. Oh, digital support is there, great. Let me know if you got the color formula. And please guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to jump in and ask. It's today is your day, and I do hope you find these videos helpful in your market. And we try and offer as many tips and tricks on how to really get the most out of using our products. So I'm just going to work through last section. Just it sounds so basic, but just making sure that you've got a beautiful coverage on the hairline, but without painting half the face. This is very important. I also have to be really attentive to this because it's not always natural to be painting in front of the camera, although for me it is natural now because I've been doing it for I've had a crash course on how to be an influencer for the last few months. Alright, I'm just working through. Now, something that a question that may come up in your mind as well is, the texture of grey hair, and is modern styling good for that? Well, absolutely, because if you think about white or grey hair, because the pigment is missing from the hair, it's pretty typical to find that the texture of it changes. Is very normal. It's very common to see that when the hair starts going grey or white, it's very common to see that the hair is more coarse, can be more frizzy, it can be drier. So also don't forget your aftercare. This is very important. But it's also something that even inside of the product that we've thought about. So Modern Styling contains Silica Complex 3+. It's a great piece of technology. Basically, the primary aspect of it is it comes from a silk protein. So it actually has some moisturizing function, but it also reconstructing. So it's a beautiful cosmetic element inside the hair. But even aftercare is also very important. So today, while we shampooed it, I think we're going to use Argan. Argan, as it says in the tin, it's a line enriched with argan oil. It's an amazing product line, and it's perfect. I think in terms of moisture, this is one of my go-to products, either that or Sublimia. I think when I'm working with grey that's quite coarse, I personally would be inclined to go for Argan. Certainly at the moment, if you have customers that are going on holiday or you're in a climate that's very hot, then I think Argan is your go-to. It's packed full of filters, so it's going to help colour durability. Alright, so the front is now done. You can see we've started to comb the root away. I've also started through here. I'm really loving how the colour's looking. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our centre profile through the back area and just paint that. This is purely just for control. But we're going to work in the same principle as before. So remember, this is our grey coverage technique rather than a classic regrowth technique. And of course, we would not ever do it like this for a total bleach application. Because of course, it's, we need to build the colour up in the appropriate zones. So here, we're going to work with horizontal sections and just paint above, paint below, drop it away. And here it's a little bit less tricky, but you also have to be careful not to be complacent when you're working, you still need discipline. I just drop it away. Spin the comb, yeah. Making sure I'm combing it up from the root. And like I said, the objective colour here is to create like a really nice pearlescent level 8, really beautiful pearlescent level 8, with these kind of highlights. So we're almost keeping some of this old colour, these beautiful beige highlights, and that's going to add some dimension and texture. And like I said, we're going to be working with Get the Colour as our second colour, as our second mixture, and that's going to create like a really beautiful shadowed effect. Okay, so just working through. Again, I'm losing my discipline a little bit here, so I need to just make sure that I'm controlling that. There we go. But this area here is not so challenging. It's, you know, it's just making sure that you get plenty of product and that you're working in a timely and precise manner. Extending from the back over to the side, bringing that up. Would you repeat the formula? Oh yeah, absolutely. So repeating the formula. So through the root area, what we've done is we're using 30 grams of level, and so 8 modal styling 8 plus 30 grams of 827 plus 60 grams of Elgon Oxy Cream 25 volumes. Okay, so I'm just working through, making sure that I really saturate the hairline. It sounds really basic, but you'll be amazed at how many times we forget this. You know, sometimes we can miss this zone. It's a very common mistake, and it's the problem with that though is it's the area. If you receive a customer complaint about grey coverage from a grey service, this is where you're going to get complaints. Is if you haven't covered the hairline. This is the money zone. This is the area that customers are going to take note, you know? So just working through that last part. You can see I need a little bit more products in the bottom. Okay. And also don't forget, you know, to make sure, like you would with a haircut, you're going to cross-check your colour application. This is also very, very important. Just ensure that you've got an even distribution of product. Like at the front, we're working with just a soft feathering technique, cross-checking the hairline, and then look at what we're doing here. I'm going to use the wide teeth of the comb, and we're just going to work through. So just checking the saturations. Very, very, very important. It's looking good. But also I'm using this as an opportunity to start stretching the root down into the mid-lengths. I'm also looking at the root colour. I'm loving where the roots are going of this. I think this is going to look quite beautiful. What do you think? You think it's going to look quite cool? It's just going to create a really beautiful pearlescent tone, you know? Like I said, sometimes when we're dealing with grey, and I think even when we do like grey training, sometimes the habit that we always have is going overboard. I think for a lot of us hairdressers, it's been communicated to us over the years that, you know, it's grey. We have to make sure that it's totally covered, cover. And of course, that's what the client wants, absolutely. But then look at how the market is changing with the world of grey. The market's changed quite a lot. So if you think like, even if I look even some of my own family, you know, it's, if I look at like my grandparents' era and beyond, you know, it was like to even express that you were colouring your hair was kind of frowned upon. You know, people always associated having grey with getting older, and you know, I mean, technically it is true because after we hit 30, the melanocytes in our body they slow down, so they start producing less pigment. So like the moment I hit 30, I started getting my first greys coming through. That's why I keep the sides so short normally. Yeah, you know, but then everything's changing, and we're seeing this kind of not really an anti-grey movement, but we're or this anti-color movement. But what we're seeing is this concept of like, you know, rather than hiding it or pretending that you know is natural, enhance it, bring out the best of it, you know. And I think this is really important. I've always, for years, as a colorist, believed that, you know, the right color is the one that fits the face and it fits the skin. And I think it's very important that, you know, you don't go too far away from it. So if you imagine if a client was naturally this white, like the rule I've always had, and it's served me pretty well throughout my career, is the rule of 3. And I use this rule for everything. So when I'm talking about someone's natural colour, the rule I always ever have is, if you want something that looks, you know, not too dramatic, expensive, you know, done but not too done, never go more than 3 shades lighter or 3 shades darker than where you're beginning from. I.e., with this hair, we're going to a level 8. So we know that, yes, of course there's going to be a root as the colour grows out, but it's not going to look terrible. So it means that the client has the maintenance. It won't look too dramatic against skin tone. And actually, I think it's going to look a bit more expensive looking and even cooler, you know. Whereas if the client says to me, I want to go for a level 5, I think it's quite dramatic, and yeah, maybe it could look nice when it's just been done, but then, you know, within a week or 2, you're already going to start seeing that root coming through. So, you know, is it really worth it? Does that make sense? So, and it's also even when I'm doing highlighting shades. So, you know, if I'm doing any form of highlight technique, you know, my rule is always, you know, keep it simple. So you decide what your base color is. So in this example, my base color, my canvas, let's say, is a level 8. So that's the mass. When someone looks at the canvas, that's what they will see. So when I'm putting highlights or lowlights through it, I either can go up or go down. If I go down, we're talking level 8 as the base, level 7, level 6, level 5, probably not. There's too much of a contrast. Level 8, level 9, level 10. And in this case, we're going from a level 8 up into a level 10. Does that make sense? So we're working with that principle still, you know, of the different colours. And it's always the same when I'm working with colour characters. You know, you don't want too much of a contrast between cool and warm. So if I'm going for, if the base colour is very warm, then you want to keep the majority of your accents in either warm, neutral, or neutral cool, and never super cool, because the tonality, the contrast, in some cases it can work and look really beautiful, but then in other cases it can just be too much, you know. Alright, so that is the root application finished. So I'm just going to stretch it down slightly, just combing it through, cross-checking as I'm working. It looks like the colour is going to be beautiful. I'm going to spin the mannequin around so you can see. So if you can imagine, normally we start our application down here, and that has the maximum development time. And in this case, we've started through the front. And I don't know if you can see already, but look at the difference in terms of the deposit already in the front compared to the back. You know, so it makes much more sense. When you're doing a grey coverage technique, your primary objective is to cover grey. Always start from the top and the front, never from the lower back. It doesn't make any sense, you know? Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next part. This is pretty easy. We're going to keep this technique quite simple. We're going to work through, I am going to use a pintail comb here. And we're just going to take totally horizontal sections, like so. And I'm going to just carefully, so I'm going to clip this up. I'm going to be careful with the ends of the hair. I don't want to contaminate them. They're quite a nice colour. So we're going to leave those out. And actually, I had a change of heart, because even though we're doing grey, I actually thought it would look really cool doing like a reverse balayage of sorts. So you see, normally we do like the lightener, so we go from dark to light. Now we're filling in, so we're going from light to dark. And I thought this would be very nice, because you could, of course, you could do this on grey hair, but you can also do this on bleached hair. It works beautifully well. So what we're going to do is stretch out the level 8 and just work into a level 10 for the ends. Keep it very, very simple. Same principle as before. So I'm going to do half of the 8 to 7. Just going to do a little more. Same as before. So half and half, 30 grams of 8 to 7. And 30 grams of R8. Now, because again we're working on a doll's head, it's going to be quite smart, I think, to stay in the same with the same developer. So we're going to use 25 volumes once again, and that's 60 grams because we're mixing 1-to-1. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with get the colour. So I'm going to just mix that in a moment. So we're going to stretch this colour down. So we're going to fill the hair in, and then we're going to melt it into the level 10 through the ends. And I'm going to show you a brand new tool that we have, which I think you're going to love. Again, just a top tip, making sure that when you mix the product, there's no lumps or bumps in it. If you see lumps in your colour mixture, that normally means that you're going to get lumps on the hair. It means that the product isn't infused correctly with the developer. That's how it should look, like a beautiful cream. Okay, and then I'm going to get the colour for the lengths and the ends. Just need to find the thing. Just give me one moment. So we're going to work with get the colour now, and we're going to work with a 10.2. Get the Colour is a fantastic product. Like I've said already, Motor and Styling gives you a little bit more of a, a stronger, more definitive result. Get the Colour creates something that's a little bit more transparent. So with this, you get looks a little bit more natural, let's say. And actually, it's very nice when you work in combination with these products. You get one of the beautiful things about Elgon products is the fact that you've got got different pigment types inside of the product, so you're able to cocktail and mix as you need to. So we're using Motor and Styling to create the backdrop, and then we're using Get the Colour as the accent. Okay, so, and we're doing this 1 to 1.5. So we're going to do 45 grams of our Elgon Oxy Cream. Here I'm going to use the precision brush just to give me more control. In fact, I'm going to use a precision brush for the mid-band colour. And we can use the traditional brush for the rest of the mixture. Similar idea to Motor in the respect that it's a cream. It's enriched with apple extract and wheat, so this also has amazing cosmetic ingredients in them. It also, of course, is a permanent colour. It is able to cover white hair. In fact, all of the Elgon products, oxidation products, you're able to use to cover grey. You can use eye light, which is a direct colour to blend grey, and you can use eye care to maintain, but it's not really, it's not going to cover grey or even blend it. Okay, and now let's get the colour. Okay, so I told you about a new tool that we've just introduced. I'm so happy it finally arrived. And here she is. These are called the Elgon Spongy Foils. These are a brand new tool, just released with Gentle Energy. Inside of here you've got 50 sheets. They are perfect because they're very flexible. They're very easy, very quick to use. You can also do some pretty cool creative colour effects with these. So for example, we know a few people that stencil. These are fantastic for that. But these are fantastic as an amazing alternative to the aluminium foil. And if you aren't already aware, this is also something that we produce, talking of experience. The silver mesh is foil. This is a traditional foil. It's beautiful. It's got the Elgon logo on it. Let's see if I can show you. Whoop. Yeah, look. It's got the Elgon logo on it. It's a little wider than a traditional foil, and the weight of it, the thickness of it is beautiful. So it's very, very easy to use. Coming back to the sheets though, the spongy foils, these are great because also you are able to clean these. You're able to reuse these. You can just rinse them with warm water. So it's also, in terms of the planet and our footprint, it's also very good in that respect as well. So I'm going to use these today. We're going to use this to really protect the neckline. And again, it's offering another level to the customers, another level, another experience. So, okay, let's start with the application. I'm going to work through. I'm going to just focus now on stretching in the root, like so. I'm going to work with the mesh. I am just going to paint underneath, like so. Just to make sure we've got the product coming through, like that. And we're just going to paint down. Like so. Now, I want to just make sure though that we're working with a vertical motion through the mid-band. So we're going to work through. If I need to ensure I've got the distribution, I can also just comb slightly, and that's already blending. I'm going to go on with my second colour, 10.2, and we're just going to melt that directly over the top. I think this is going to look quite amazing. What do you guys think? If you have any questions, don't hesitate to jump in and ask, right? So if you've got any questions about grey, any questions about what we're doing, please don't hesitate to jump in. I'm here for you. Again, just combing that through. And this is a very, very easy and very quick salon technique. This is actually something that I used to do back in the day. I haven't done this for a long time. But I think this is also very relevant right now because there is a lot of talk, coming in the fall, after summer hair. We spent the last sessions talking about lightening the hair. We will still continue talking a little bit about this. But, also after the summer, it's important as well, bringing the hair back, preparing it for the fall and for the winter. Okay, so I'm just going to work through. And you can see this is the fun bit now. So it's the worst bit done. And of course, I'm also just making sure I'm keeping an eye on the development time as I'm working, and how the product is developing in the hair. Because this is on a white mannequin, it's a bit of a treat because you can really see what you're working on. You can see the development as it's doing its thing. Again, wide teeth, comb through the surface, like so, and just work through the ends. And like I said, I think this is going to look beautiful. You're going to have this melting from a level 8, a really pearlescent level 8, into this gorgeous pearlescent level 9. And I think also this is going to create a beautiful base for us to work on. If we wanted to do something a little bit more expressive or creative. So for example, we could play with pastels, we could play with, we could play with eyelight, we could play with eye care. There's so many things that we can do with this effect. And what I will do today is I'm also going to cut the mannequin. I'll do quite a nice little beautiful transient shape, and we will upload it next week to the Connect by Elgon YouTube channel. So today you'll see the final result with the colour, and then next week we will upload the video with styling and the haircut and how we really brought this to life. Okay, so I'm just going to comb through the surface like so, and then just into those last sections. Okay. Just bringing that through. And can you see how through using the mesh, how much more control, when I'm working, how much control I have with this new tool. So it's really, really assisting me greatly. Okay, into the last section. Now something that's quite important, if you look here, we don't really have so much of a root to work with. So here I'm just gonna comb it, and we're just going to work with the level 8 through the whole of that surface area. Because if we don't, possibly what's going to happen is you're not really going to have a build of lightness through the ends. It could just look a little uneven. Okay, just bring that down. Okay, and we're going to do the same on this side. So I'm just going to finish off the one side, and then that will conclude our session, just to show you. And then we will show you the final result later. So here I can be a little bit more easy with it. So what I'm going to do, just so it's a little bit more interesting, I'm going to take out a V just around the hairline. Let's leave out the front. Yeah, perfect. Let's leave this out. We're going to do something really cool with this zone here. Let's do the same here. So let's just take out a little V. That's going to be our connector through the back. Okay. So here I'm going to just work through. And we're going to use another mesh, spongy foil, I should say. I have to stop creating new names for these products. Just place that underneath like so. Perfect. I'm just going to stretch that root very slightly. And then we're going to work with the level 10 through the middens and the ends. Going a little higher. I'm doing that deliberately because what we want is to create this like beautiful accent through the underneath. I'm going to just flip that over so it's protected, and then now what we're going to do is going to place another one through the top like so, and we're going to just take that straight through. This time I'm going to use my hands just to make my life a little easier. Here, we're just going to use the level 8 on its own. Straight through, from roots, straight through to ends. Just comb that through just to distribute the product. And just finish that off. And actually what I'm going to do is I'll finish that front in a moment. And of course with this colour technique you could cocktail this for anything. So of course I'm using it here for a creative grey coverage. I want to show you more than just a basic grey coverage. We're doing a creative application, using what we have, enhancing what we have, and creating something totally new. We're bringing that back. Okay. And then through here, I'm just going to bring that through. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to isolate this top panel very slightly, and then we're going to bring that front area back. Just making sure that I'm just cleaning the gloves slightly, just to help with, just so we don't contaminate the hair. I'm going to isolate that section, like so. And then we're just going to work through that final section. Here I'm going to use a pigtail to keep it a little cleaner and neater as I'm working through. I'm just going to stretch. I'm going to approach this ever so slightly differently. That's kind of beautiful. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to work from underneath. I think that's going to be better. Yeah. It's going to give me a lot more control as I'm working. I have to be very careful, so I am going to clip away. Just make sure I'm using a clean clip as I'm working. So this one isn't clean. And just being very attentive for where I'm clipping that through, yeah? I'm going to work from the underneath, and the reason for that actually is just more for natural fall. So yes, I am bringing it onto, well, I'm bringing it onto a mesh. Just going to comb that down to just check the colour. And here I'm going to be a little bit more delicate. So I'm going to work with just purely vertically, like so. Okay. Comb. Okay, then through the ends, but let's just make sure I'm prepared with my spongy foil. And we're going to just take that through. So here we're going a little higher. This is going to create like a little bit of a money piece around the front. Yeah, thank you, Sabita. I agree. I think the colour looks is looking pretty nice, eh? So look, you can see already. I think this is going to look beautiful, right? Let's just protect this with a mesh. Don't want to be colouring the poor client's face. And we're going to do the same again. And you can see we've got a little bit excited. There's a tiny bit of colour on our face, so let's get that off. It's a touch warm in here right now, so it's, as you know, the heat is never our friend for us and our clients. Okay, combing it down. I'm loving how that root's looking right now. I think this is definitely, we're onto something here. Let's go through. Okay. Let's blend it a little. Okay. Like so. Drop that down, and then we're just going to finish off that last panel. Stretch it slightly. I'm quite liking the look, like how the root's looking. Let's have a look at the face. I think this is going to be beautiful. I think what I'm going to do with the cut is insert a bit of a frame of sorts. So I think this is going to look beautiful. So I think I don't want to go too low. through the front. So let's just add a touch more colour. Work just with the end of the brush, like so. And then through the midlands and the ends with get the colour. Okay. Alright guys, so that is the technique completed on one side. I am going to, for a time efficiency and just more for you guys, I'm going to finish the other side off the line, just so I can let you guys run and get on with your days. But I hope that you found this interesting. I think this is quite a nice, interesting approach to a grey technique. If you have any questions, do jump them into the comments when you can. I will answer them as soon as I possibly can. If I haven't answered them during the thing, I'll come back and check through it. Just a quick recap over what we've done. We've done a classic grey coverage technique working from top into the back. And then we did a reverse filling in technique. So we've worked on the roots, and then we've worked in with half of Modern Styling 827 and 8, half and half with 25 volumes. We used 25 volumes because we're working on a doll's head, so we don't want to oversaturate the hair with pigment. And then what we did was we did the roots first, stretched the roots down, and then melted into get the colour 10.2 through the midlands and the ends. And then what we've done is we've taken out a triangle through here. That has been coloured with the Modern Styling formula from roots to ends. Through the underneath panel, we've stretched it out a little more. And if I'm looking very closely, I think this colour is going to be totally amazing. I'm really excited to see this. So I'm going to finish this side, develop it. I'm going to do a haircut. I'm going to film the haircut, which you guys can check out next week, how I styled it and how I finished it. And yeah, and you will see the final picture sometime later on today. Thank you so much for joining in, and see you soon. Stay safe, and thank you.